lot to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just this gown? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, meanwhile focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue. I don't know.
That was the great sounds of Wata with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, Easy Bluez is in the building. Easy Bluez, you were better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention and make sure that you get in as the lights start to dim. We're going to flash them twice so you can get to your seat, and then we will start the show. As the curtain pulls wide, I want you to understand the importance, the absolute importance of escapism, but escapism with a true meaning and a reason. There are incredible artists that are out there that are willing to take, as I like to say, the pain and the trouble of the world, bring it through their prism of artistic integrity, and shoot it into the heart of every single person out there. And that is the truest form and the real reason for art. For the moment there was a headline, there was a herald on the corner singing the tales, telling the stories, and that is who we have right now, a herald, a director, an actor, an activist. Put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, I want you to put your hands at 10 and 2 because we need to be responsible. But mentally, put your hands together for the amazing Godfrey Simmons. Thank you, sir, so much for coming.
Hey, what an introduction! I have never. That's gonna top the list if there is a list.
I've made a lot of lists in my life. Let me tell you, some of them good, some of them good.
I'm honored, humbled by that. It's good to be with
welcome
you.
to the show, brother. Welcome to the show. Great to have you. Definitely great to have you.
Thanks, Easy. Thanks, Preston. Yeah, it's good to be here. Really lovely to be here.
Well, for the listening and viewing audience at home, let's talk a little bit about you. We got into it a little bit in the intro, but not truly. Now, you have been someone who has created a career in performance art and creative art. It is something that I 1,000,000% admire. It is something that a lot of people are out there trying to do. But you don't just do it to make people laugh. You do it to make people think. What really started you off on this journey?
Great question. What started that journey, right? Because deciding to do art, that's like one thing, right?
Right.
Making that decision. The first time I did theater was in high school. A lot of folks, you pick it up in school. Hey, listen, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. So I went to high school in Yorktown, Virginia, and it was one of these things where I got recruited, and I'm sure, I don't know, maybe Preston, maybe if you've been through this, but I got that thing of just like, you're so articulate, you should try out for such and such. Yeah. And so I was recruited to join the show choir, right? Because they needed some Black folk in the show choir. What nobody thinking about, no Latinx or Asian. They just needed some Black people to be doing the show choir. They needed a couple because the show choir was starting to kind of blow up a little bit. We were called the Voice of Freedom.
Nice.
And so I tried out, and I got in. I mean, I had to be a great singer. I had a decent bass voice, but I got involved in the show choir, which involves choreography and singing and stuff like that. I'm not a singer, But what happened is that got a part of a group of people who were going to be doing theater. They were going to be doing theater, and everybody was going to audition for West Side Story. Interestingly enough, the movie's just coming out right now, and I auditioned for West Side Story, and I played a jet, you know, and I had a moment. I had a moment where I had to make fun of Happy, who's organizing the dance between the two, you know, gangs to try to kind of like smooth things out. And I make fun of Happy, and everybody laughed at me. Everybody in the auditorium just lost it when I did this thing, and I had come up with a really good idea. And it was then I thought, like, okay, this is something I can do, and I can do well, and it's not hard, and I enjoy thinking of new things in terms of storytelling. And so in terms of just like the turn toward seeing what it could do, my second play, I played it was about an addict, about a kid who was an addict. And my character was named Gimp. And of course, they cast a Black guy as like Gimp, but whatever. But he was called Gimp for a reason. He had like a lame foot or whatever. And at a certain point, I get so upset. My character gets so angry at somebody that he stomps him to death. Like with his foot. And when I did it, I during a show, I started crying while I was doing it. Like tears started kind of like come out of my eyes during it. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I can channel like what it is to be, you know, kind of like ridiculed and discriminated against as someone who is who has a disability, and at the same time connect that with how I feel as a you know, a Black teenager. And I was able to make connections on a social political level at that young age, and put that through my body and through my voice in service of the storytelling of a show, even as screwed up as that particular, you know, casting was. I was able to still like tell the story and make a statement through my work. So it's kind of been since then, I've always kind of thought of theater as something, you know, and my acting as something that's more, something I could do that is more than just telling stories. Now, last thing, and I'm sure you didn't expect this answer to take this long.
I love this answer. You take this is your time. You take the time.
We're enjoying ourselves, brother. We all really are.
But you know, the idea of art, the idea of non-political art is not an idea. There's no such thing. It's all political. So you know, and I was talking to some great artists, Ann Cubberley and Olivia Ilano. Olivia's from Spectrum of Motion, and Cubberley is from Nightfall, and they're just amazing. They've been doing it so long. But we were talking, I remember saying, like, if you're gonna do art, it's gonna be political, so you might as well be intentional. Like, no matter what you do. So, you know, I mean, if you think you're just gonna do some fluff and just like, oh, we just want to entertain, you know, okay. I mean, you can try. It's still gonna be political. You're saying you're doing something or not, right? And the or not can be dangerous. It can be dangerous to just try to lull people into some sense of comfort. I'm not saying we shouldn't have comedies. We should. It's just that they need to be thoughtful. They need to be, you know, they need to be with intent. And you need to understand that even if something is funny or heartrending, what are the messages that you're sending in terms of like the story, right? And I'm not saying I always get it right. I don't think I do, but it's always going to be a part of the equation for me.
That is so awesome, and I love that we're jumping right into that, because really that's the reality of it. You know, no matter what, the minute you are given a platform, you know, you are making a statement. Whether that statement is no statement at all, there's still a statement in that. It still shows that someone's like, hold on, let me take, there's a lot of statements in there. Let me see. I'm trying to follow along the sentence. It's all right. The bouncing ball will come back. But it is the reality of it. You know, I think there's a Samuel L. Jackson line in a movie. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. You know, so it's really, to me, makes the most amount of sense. And I've always feel the same way. If you're taking that moment, it's your moment, and you can say whatever you want. And sometimes by saying nothing, you're spending a lot of time. You're saying volumes. You're screaming volumes. And this is for a lot of people who look like me, as I like to call my palm-colored brothers, you know, and sisters. You know, when we don't say something, we're actually screaming truth.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if y'all might not be old enough to remember this, but I remember this moment when Tiger Woods first won, and it's a weird tangent here, but when Tiger Woods first won his Masters as like 19 or something ridiculous, right? And then the next year, you know, every year the Masters champion from the last year has to decide the menu for the dinner. And Fuzzy Zeller, who had won a couple of Grand Slam tournaments and everything like that, made this quip, and he was always seen as this funny kind of clown prince of like golf. And he said, like, I guess he's gonna choose fried chicken and watermelon for the. But what was interesting is that Tiger Woods said nothing, and it was just like, ooh. I mean, nothing. Didn't say anything to Fuzzy Zeller. He did not say a thing. And I was just, I remember being stunned by the self-control of that, and stunned by the volumes that spoke. That like he didn't say a thing. He just and Fuzzy Zeller just went away. I mean, no one's heard from the guy again.
No.
And, right, like, it just went away. It was stunning. And interesting coming from, you know, Tiger Woods, who I think has a complicated relationship with race for, you know, for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I just thought, so yes, you're right, Izzy. I just wanted to just remember, that was the time where I thought like, ooh, your silence and something that is deep.
Right. Well, and it's so interesting because, you know, we jumped right into it, right? You had the moment with Prestige earlier where you were approached to be in the show choir because you spoke so eloquently. You know, they automatically like, okay, and again, this shouldn't be coming from me, but I'm going to be that aspect anyway. They're like, okay, you are one of the good ones. We need you to help represent and be, you know, our token. And one, I will never technically understand that side of it, but I have been the token on the other side. And that's fine. Like, cool, no problem. I will show up. I will be loud. You know, I will scream from the top of my lungs because that's how I am, period. I'm just a loud human being. It's just, I'm very self-aware. But it's so important to take these steps and to do that. How do you manage to do those things? And how did you manage, especially at such a young age, to take those steps and understand that you were a representative?
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for a kid. Let's be real. I mean, that's a lot of pressure for an adult.
Yeah. I've never been asked that question before. It's a really good question. my, you know, I had great parents. I love them dearly. They both passed on, but they were amazing. And they were both, neither one of my parents were unassuming. They I'm not saying that they were on blast. They weren't necessarily like loud and they weren't at all. They weren't. But they both came from, you know, people who had been sharecroppers in the South. My father's father was a preacher, but he had a flock. My grandfather, not a great guy, but like had but he had that sense of, really kind of representing. We were proud people. I think so. I think it's about that. I think that's a big part of it. Is that I from the Graysons, which is my mom's side of the family, and the Simmons, which is my father's side. They're they're proud folk. There was a lot of there were expectations of me, expectations that I would be productive. There were expectations I would achieve. That was never, that just wasn't an issue. My grandmother, on my mom's side, Paralee Grayson, I mean, she had, 12 kids. And there were like, I think 7 girls. 11 kids and like 7 girls. And all the girls went to college. Almost all finished college. One finished 3 years, but they all went to college. This is in my mom was born in 46. Ooh. So, and again, my grandmother had been a sharecropper, had worked on a plantation. She was paid, but like on a plantation, like, I mean, all this stuff, like then worked for the shirt making factory when it came to town, all that stuff. But like, so there was no way that I wasn't gonna kind of be aware, regardless of what was happening, I was gonna be aware of what I represented. That I was just raised that way.
I think that's extremely important because that's a lot of people and people again who look like me. It's something that we've never had to be aware of, and that's that's not fair and it's not right. And I wanted just to take that moment and give you your flowers and give your family the flowers for fighting through that and constantly being aware of it. I go very far out of my way to make myself look as different as humanly possible, between the tattoos and the beard. And, I've had dyed colored hair and the whole 9 yards. But I've had to do that. I had to actively make that choice.
Easy, you also made that choice to be on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. And I hope I didn't lose your train of thought. Continue.
No, not at all, because
that was nicely done.
Thank you. Oh no, he's so good. His transitions are absolutely incredible. He hits me right on the key every time he's a shot from there. But at any point in time, I could spend a lot of money in tattoo removal. I could shave and be clean cut. I could play the game, and because of the way that I look and my genetic disposition, I'm going to go, there's more doors that are going to be open. I've never had to worry about representing anything other than myself. And to hear the story and to understand the reality that not everybody is like that. It's terrifying, but it is a reality that we need to accept, we need to acknowledge, and we need to grow from. That's why we embrace these uncomfortable conversations on this show, because these uncomfortable conversations are going to be the things that heal and form the hearts of the generations to come. So thank you so much for being as open and honest with us as possible. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the work that we're doing. That's the work that we're trying to do with Heartbeat Ensemble in Hartford, and I think that all theater needs to be more aware of that, and it's happening right now, right? That's actually happening more with the rise of the WCU White American Theater movement. And there's like a Black Broadway coalition that it's been happening, and there's stuff that's happening in the theater, certainly. Like things are moving. It's interesting in some ways. Film and television is particularly television, is ahead of theater on that score, which isn't too surprising since theater is so old, and I think way more tied to white supremacy than film and television, if you can believe it. But theater's getting there.
No, it definitely is, and we have a lot of incredible success stories to talk about that. Obviously, for those newer to the game, Lin-Manuel is one of the forefronts there. But I mean, A Raisin in the Sun has been out there forever, and if anyone has not sat down and really watched an incredible performance of that, you really have missed out. It really is incredible. And for those who don't know, I think the reason why TV is a little bit further of a medium is because we as a society have become super lazier, and we can just sit on our couch. We don't have to go out. We don't have to go and wait in a line, or, shoot to, Times Square for that half price ticket thing, because that is the best investment in ever. You have that opportunity. You just want to jump in the city real quick. You want to go early, get that half price ticket. I was able to sit front row at, Jekyll and Hyde, and almost burn my leg hair on the fire and pyrotechnics that they had there because of that half price ticket thing. But there's such an amazing connection with live theater, and we saw a little bit of it this past week when they had live in front of a studio audience, when they do these remakes of the old shows, and to see like John Lithgow, who is a professionally trained theater actor, be able to hit every single one of his marks and really play towards the crowd. And Kevin Hart did a phenomenal job. I have so much more respect for him right now as a performer due to the performance that he did. I hope more people jump out and really support live theater, because it is an incredible experience. And, being a live musician, I have so much respect for those that actually have to tell a full story. I only have like 4 minutes that I have to tell a story. You guys have an hour and a half,
even more sometimes.
Even more sometimes. So it's mind blowing. And we Prestige and I had the honor and privilege of checking out the latest show that you guys have done. Let's talk a little bit about the foundation, because it was amazing. Prestige and I just went out to have an adventure in Hartford, and we were able to stumble into this incredible performance that was so touching, so raw, yet so beautiful. And you had that Greek chorus aspect of it. And for those who understand, the Greek chorus is the comedy aspect that you needed in some of these harder hitting plays, because you needed to giggle to break up how heavy the message is. So that is you guys use humor incredibly well. So
let me talk about that. So you all saw what they don't tell you, which is a new short play created by our youth performance, the Youth Play Institute. and otherwise known as YPI, and it's one of Heartbeat's signature programs. It's been around way before I got here. The company was founded by Gregory Tate, Julia Rosenblatt, and Stephen Rader Ginsburg, and they've been doing it a long time. And YPI, and what the Youth Play Institute does is that it's a workforce program that hires young men and women between the ages of 16 and 21. Mostly from Hartford, mostly folks from the global majority, who write a play that is based on some type of like social justice issue that is concerning them. Usually we give them a couple of choices about like, okay, we can choose from these 2 or 3 things. How are you feeling about that? And this time they chose women's autonomy. And when we're thinking about women's autonomy, it's in the news right now with everything around Roe v. Wade that's happening. And but we expanded it out, right? They, the facilitators, Sarah Ghanam, Laugh Sanchez, and Sulanet, who I know is probably is familiar to your listeners, were basically facilitate this, and they widened the lens on it. And the story goes is that they've been working on, they interview people, they do research to like make this play. A lot of in-person work, just brainstorming and asking questions and making images and building improvisations based on those images, building scenes, building vignettes. And what was interesting, they basically kind of created a kind of, it's not quite a boulevard, I wouldn't say call it a boulevard comedy, but like they just created this really interesting series of vignettes that add up to a play. Because I don't think vignettes, I feel like vignettes can like diminish it, and it's not. They built into a series of pieces that looked at what it is to be a woman, and then and all the things that she has to go through, and then by the end they make this stand at City Hall, ideally. And what they did though was that they made it funny, and that's what was the kind of like the kick there, is that they were very intentional about making it funny, making it and pointed. There were a lot of shivs that were given to the audience there. Like you'd be like, oh, wait. Right? Right. It was clear that it was from their, really from their point of view. And of course, I mean, there's a jingle in it, right? That came out of it. I'm being harassed.
Button. That's one of my favorite parts.
No, people are going to hear that, and it's going to be like out of context. So I hope people don't get upset at me for singing "I'm being harassed." But when you see it in context, it's both crushingly sad and hilarious at the exact time. And there were multiple moments in which they created that. And this is what's important about this program, is that they get paid for this.
Wow.
Right?
I know that.
This is a workforce program. So what this does is it says this work is valuable. This is work. And they get to tie work to creating stories. They tie it to work of political activism, and they get to tie work to those things being together, as well as forming an ensemble, forming a cohort, if you will, of people who go through this moment, and then creating theater, and that theater and storytelling See, people, it's a job. People do this for a living, and there's a reason why they do it. It's not just to just get their, you know, kind of, you know, self-aggrandizing gene, you know, Jones, right? Like, it's not to fulfill that. It's there's a reason why people are doing this work. And so the hope is that as they go forward, when they go see anything, they see something on you know, on the dumb phone, they go see something on the TV, they go see, you know, a play. They're not just like, you know, they're not just with their tongue kind of hanging out. They're actually thinking, and they're being critical in a sense of just being able to parse things out. And, you know, and they can look at, like, I don't know, Michael Che's show and go like, oh, he's funny. He's a funny guy. These two sketches kind of suck because they're not just politically incorrect, they're politically stupid.
Right.
They're like, they don't, right? I mean, so you're able to kind of just really be able to just have a real nuanced look at this stuff and be able to, what I hope they're able to do is to put themselves in that space of yes and, to be able to go to say, yes, this is a really great thing, and there was a lack of responsibility shown in this moment. And so, and I think about that without having to say, you know, okay, you are forever wiped off the face of, like, you know, television or whatever. I get, they get to go, you know, learning how to hold both things. How do we move forward? You just can't move forward if you can't kind of hold both things, if you kind of can't kind of just be able to go through life without nuance. Like, even if you're an activist, even if you're trying to move mountains, to me, that's a political failing that's been happening a lot here lately on all sides, and it's just, and that's what they want us to do. That's what that's like the powers of white supremacy want us to lose nuance, even if we're against them, right? Even if we're trying to dismantle it, they don't care. But if we don't have nuance, if we can't move through with nuance while we're trying to, like, destabilize and dismantle white supremacy, oh, that's good for them. You can't, because if you have nuance, if you can't hold several things, you can't do anything.
Right. No, it's wow, that's amazing. First, I want to address the anyone who's been in the art aspect, or whether it be music, whether it be theater or anything like that. The fact that it's a paying gig, you're starting out with a paying gig in an industry that you give away everything, like everything. Oh, you know, we just spent $1,000 in merch. Here's a free T-shirt. You know what I mean? You know, and you have to do that because it is that type of, you know, the promo aspect of it is that type of industry. But you were giving these kids, some of them, their first step in the theater mark, you know, and you're showing them that this is an industry that if you do it responsibly, if you do it professionally, when you're giving them the opportunity to treat the creative like a job, because it is a job. And when you can, you know, fully master that, you know, they're already starting off on such an incredible starting block.
Sometimes it's their first paycheck.
Yeah.
I mean,
you had kids that were like 16, 17, 18. Yeah. Wow, I didn't even think about that. You're so right. Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
And not only that, but you actually like you got to see with one of your participants, your stage manager. You watched him grow because of the content, but then he fell in love with theater itself and is now looking into making theater like a career. That is incredible. Like that is and again, I want to give you these flowers, and I want our listeners to understand that is the true impact of an incredible program and great leadership. Because when you have the youth able to grow and you're giving them financial security as well, a lot of the reason why nuance is lost is because there is no financial security. It's hard to keep nuance when you're worried about food that goes in your mouth. Yeah. And then it's really easy when you're hungry, because hangry is a thing. Let's be real. When you're hungry and you're so hungry that normal logic loses you, and you're more concerned about you losing your one cookie instead of the 99 cookies that have been taken. It is really easy for the people who hold those 99 cookies to say, hey, that guy that looks different than you is eyeing your cookie. And this is the cycle that they continue to have us in, where we are running on this ridiculous hamster wheel just to survive. And surviving is no longer an option. Like, let's be real. Like, let's make that a moment right now. Everyone who's listening, everyone who, survival is no longer an option. It is time for us to thrive as a universal community. And that means colored people like me, our ancestors made a lot of mistakes. Like, if you go back through history, we have the mustache and we're tying people to train tracks. Acknowledge that, apologize for that, and understand that you can grow from that, and we can all get together and we can all start to build together. And I'm off my soapbox.
But I'm back on mine on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. We have the very intelligent Godfrey Simmons is with us here on the show. And Godfrey, how many times have you lost count of being inspired and surprised and amazed by these young minds you deal with most of the time?
I'm always surprised, which is insane because I should expect. But I feel like when I stop being surprised, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Okay.
So it also, I feel that way also about, I remember when the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict came down, and I was just like, kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. But I start to work when I stop being surprised by that kind of stuff too, when I just start to kind of just, but it's good to be surprised. They're constantly, the young people, they're our future, but we say that, they're our future. No, they're now. They're our now.
Okay, I like that.
Like they're the now, because they, whether it's evolution, technology, whatever it is, like this idea that you've got to be in your mid-40s to just kind of like, lead stuff or to be in charge of stuff or whatever, it's just kind of insane. Doesn't make any sense. I think that that's a generation that's gonna, if we allow it to happen, that's gonna lead us to the next thing. They're going to be the ones that help us right now as a human race to like hang on for dear life. We're going like it's. We're not going to see the end. Probably, we'll probably be gone, but it's going right. It's going that direction. So that much is clear, right? That sense of entropy is happening. So when we look at it that way, I think if we can put our faith in this group of young people, they're just handling so much, and I cannot imagine. I got to say this: I can't imagine being, I have a 10-year-old and son. His name is Samuel, Um, I can't imagine being him right now in time. It's like, and it taught me a lot as a father, because at the point I just went, I can't, when you're a parent, you just, there are all the things they and your children are like pulling on you, and I'm not even the mom. The mom is like even worse, right? Because that's just natural. Seriously, you could divvy up everything like equally in terms of like duties. It's still going to be worse than a mom, right? If they came from that mom, right? That body, that biology, it's just that the pull is more. But just, I feel that, when the pandemic hit and all the stuff that my son's gonna have to deal with, knowing that the target is on his forehead just because of who he is, I just can't imagine, and I try to give him every kind of wide berth I can, and as much empathy and compassion, and yeah, and so I really can't imagine being a 16 to 21-year-old in this time, because I'm just coming into it, and I'm so far ahead of who were just ahead of me. I know so much more because I've been accelerated because of like a technology, and because I'm just, where my mind is more plastic, more elastic. And then dealing with the pandemic, I just
it's like go into their heads. It's a crazy feeling. Oh my goodness, yeah. You because like our childhoods were really different from what they're going through now, and with Zoom and so much stuff. Yeah,
so
man.
much, so much. Just it's like the one time, because it used to be, when you were old, it'd be just like, well, my day we had to walk, we had to walk barefoot, in the snow uphill both ways. Oh, you had feet? You know what I mean?
You had feet? Yeah, you had feet? For real.
That was like a McDonald's commercial or something like that.
Yeah.
But seriously though, but now they got it. They take all the cakes. You can't say it anymore. You can't say we're back in my day. Look, look, old man. Look out here.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's a crushing reality, and for all those that are Monday morning quarterbacks, I mean, there's a lot of them, and you could tell that they've never been through it. A lot of people felt a certain way, and I'll be 100% real. When you hear the stories on the news, it's a lot different than when you actually have skin on the game. And this past week, my oldest, school was locked down 2 days in a row because of a shooter threat. And if you don't think that doesn't wear on everyone, I made sure that, after the first lockdown, my child stayed home. And then, so the second lockdown, they weren't there, but they didn't go back to school that following day. I told the school, I'm going to treat this the way you guys treat a fever. When you guys give me 24 hours without a lockdown, then my kid will come back to school. And because they need these mental health breaks. I think it's more than ever, you really need to take this time and really, check in and check through. We talked about, the performance that you guys did and why the humor was there. And I think I always go back to Mary Poppins. The medicine goes down a lot smoother when you have a spoonful of sugar. But it's true, and that's one of the things that like we do. As a band, we try to, talk about uncomfortable topics, but we do it with a 3-foot tall stuffed penguin on stage, so more people are in line to listen. And you guys were the perfect example of that in this amazing show. One other thing that I did want to talk about, this incredible catchphrase that you guys put together. I personally would love to see a whole bunch of TikTok vignettes, about using this button, I think it's something that can catch on, can go viral, but go viral for the right reasons because there's a lot of education that can be there. So I'm going to put that at your feet. Maybe you want to hit some of these kids up and start to do that because I really think it can exposure. I'm an idea guy. I'm going to come up with 1.5 million of them. Some of them make money, some of them don't. So,
I like it. I'm gonna we will take that under advisement. I like that. Yeah, okay. Right. Hey, all right. We'll get you your commission. No.
Nope, I don't need a commission. And for all those that want to give the hate mail, that's no problem. You can actually give my hate mail directly to the Catholic Church, and that's fine.
Godfrey, so you're from Yorktown, Virginia?
No, man. I think you could hear. A different thing in there. I appreciate that. So my dad was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And, at the time, we were stationed at Langley Air Force Base, which is near Hampton, Virginia. And we were living in base housing, which meant that we were bused to a school in Yorktown, Virginia. I did not like it. Going to high school there. But I got through it. Tidewater area of Virginia is interesting. I was there from 6th grade through high school and then into college. I went to William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. And so Tidewater area of Virginia is interesting. There's a whole section of it, Hampton, Norfolk, Newport News, going further, Portsmouth, is those are Black and brown towns largely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a whole section of, interestingly enough, there's like a whole section of hip hop that's like from that area. Missy Elliott, Timbaland, Pharrell. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That. So it's an interesting play, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's like a whole bunch of other folks from there.
No, I totally understand because I'm actually in Virginia now. I'm from Newport News. I was born there.
Are you serious? No way.
That's why I mention it. And my sister, my youngest, she's 18. She just graduated from Yorktown last year. It's completely different environment now.
High school in Yorktown?
Yorktown High. She graduated from last year. So it's completely 180 from what you were talking about in the broadcast. So it was just crazy how you said Yorktown because not really people mention Yorktown at all. I think you're the first person in Connecticut that mentioned Yorktown. Wait. My whole entire life. Yeah, go ahead.
She goes to York High School in Yorktown, Virginia.
Yes, she graduated last year.
She's graduated. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What's it like now?
It's diverse like crazy. It's crazy. What? It's diverse like crazy. A lot of people that look like us. A lot of Asians, a lot of Hispanics. It's very, very diverse. It's insane now. So if you would walk in there through the halls, it'll be a completely different environment. If I can barely speak to what you're talking about. But I kind of wanted to mention that little thing in there. Yeah.
Well, now I will say this. I will say this. It wasn't like I was a part of like 5 or 10% of people in the global majority. It wasn't like that back then. Because there was a good number of people who were in the service, who lived around there, and there were all those bases. There was Langley, there's Fort Monroe, there's I think Fort Eustis. Thank you. Fort Eustis was the one that was closest, right? And then there was a Coast Guard. So there was some kind of like there were some people. It was probably like 80-20, 75-25. And most of those, and it's very rural. I wonder what happened. I wonder, I suppose a lot of people decided to stay who maybe were in the service there or something like that. I'm so curious about that now. That's amazing.
Well, no, it definitely was. I actually went to Fort Eustis. I trained at Fort Eustis and at Fort Lee.
What?
Yeah, no, I did. I trained at Fort Lee, Eustis and Fort Lee. I also trained it. My military career, I got the summer in Georgia and winter in Virginia. It was a lot of fun. Absolutely fantastic. But actually, for those who know, and I'm again, hate mail directly to the Catholic Church. Eustis actually stands for Even Uncle Sam Thinks It Stinks. Because that fort took a lot of my soul. That fort took a lot of my soul.
I played a lot of games. Played a lot of baseball and basketball at Fort Eustis. All those places. The bases, they would all play each other and everything like that.
Yep.
Did a lot of that. Oh my gosh! So did you all know each other from Virginia?
Oh no. We met in New Haven.
We met at a fast food joint in New Haven. We did. We met at a fast food joint, and part of our souls left there. And from there, it was how they abused us so much that we got together and we formed this incredible union.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! I cannot believe that. Oh wow! I am so amazed. Amazed.
Well, it also shows, like, I fully believe that all meetings are deliberate, and everything is supposed to happen for those particular reasons. So when
we
had that
I gotta put the finger up. We got a minute left of the broadcast. I want to give this time to you, Godfrey. Please give any social media and anything you want to promote within the last minute of this show. Go right ahead.
Oh, great. Well, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing, week and a half. We're going to be doing a reading, like a first look at the Book of Gwen. And you can go to our website at heartbeatensemble.org. That's HARTBEAT. Ensemble, and we're on Twitter at Heartbeat Ensemble, and Instagram, same thing, and that's coming up, and then one of our longtime ensemble members, Sen Martinez, has written a play called Moonlighters, and we're going to be doing a workshop of that in February. So we've got some stuff kind of coming up, and we're very excited about it. So hit us up. We are also in our fundraising drive right now, so go check out our website and see what we're up to.
Godfrey, thank you so much for being part of the broadcast. Appreciate you, love you, and happy to know a little bit more about you. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez. This has been Behind the Brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, we while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last.
I don't know if the earth is paid.